Hi everybody, this is Alchemist2, and I'm back again with another book review. I just recently finished Side Jobs, which I suppose you could call book number 13 in the Dresden Files series. And it has a sequel to the cliffhanger ending of Changes. And of course, Jim Butcher contests that it wasn't a cliffhanger. I beg to differ, and I think a lot of other Dresden fans contend with that as well, and we're really not content to say that it wasn't a cliffhanger. We hold that in contempt, actually. Actually, the story Aftermath leads very nicely into Ghost Story, which I guess you could call true book number 13, because there's Ghost Story and then Cold Days and then Skin Game. Yeah, Skin Game is the last book so far of the series, so I'm not really sure what to call this particular book. I guess you could say it's a transitional book because it's a compilation of stories that take in between route with the other books in the series, so it's kind of hard to classify this omnibus. It's excellent, nevertheless. It's another one of Jim's really excellent efforts, I do believe. And the first story was his first real stab at writing paranormal crime, I think, and he doesn't have normal characters involved yet. He has Harry, but he has characters that we're not used to seeing, and he's just I think just rattling ideas off of the top of his head, and it's an entertaining story. I really enjoy the tale in which our resident vampire takes the lead. Thomas, his half-brother, and it's actually very amusing. And Thomas is also a very likable character, as well as Harry is. And Thomas has a darker nature, what he calls his monster, and the hunger, as we all know if we've read the series and we're familiar with it. I really don't know what else to say about this particular book in the series other than I absolutely adored it, and it was just sensational. If you have a chance to read it, then do. If you're a Dresden fan, you have to, because it's essential. If you've read Changes and you were upset by the ending like I was, and you thought, no, what's going to happen? No, you can't do this. How dare you? When I read it, my mouth fell to the ground, and I thought, ugh, I knew this was coming. Yeah! And then there's Ghost Story, which so far I'm really liking. But so as when I classify the books, I think that Changes is my ultimate favorite of the entire series, because you get to see Harry as a man who is concerned about his family, his blood, because he's an orphan. He doesn't really have anybody. His mentor was killed, for gosh sakes, and his mother died. Well, his mother was actually killed as well. He didn't really know his father too much, or the man that he called father. His father died as well, so he was an orphan. He basically had to raise himself, and he doesn't really know family as far as it can be defined. And when love is also very it's complicated for him as well as for Thomas. So Thomas is more of a Lothario. Thomas is a character that he kind of reminds me of Lestat, and he's like a Stott. Lestat, the glam rock vampire, I think is the best way to describe him. Lestat has this kind of air of mystery about him, this seduction that you just cannot resist. It's kind of like a moth to a flame, and yet you know that that flame is going to kill you. Yeah, it's very intriguing, I feel, and it draws you in, and it's a lot of fun to read. And Aftermath and the entire omnibus was my tip top of all the others, the pinnacle, I should say. And it held my attention. Everything in the book actually held my attention, even the first story, which you could tell was his first whack at really getting to write in the paranormal, surreal, fantasy fiction. And I like the whole noir mood of it, and the ambiance of that, and it just immediately you're hooked and you can't stop. That's what I really like about Dresden in and of itself, and it's really quite entertaining. And there are many times that I'd be reading Harry Dresden book and I just laugh out loud, and people are just looking at me in the break room thinking, what on God's green earth are you reading? What, was it really that good? Yeah, it's really that good. And if you like mystery, it's really right up your alley, because it's something that you can really get into, and there's a little bit of something for everybody.